Hello everyone, welcome to another video of SAP Success Factors series. In this video, we will see the employee central architecture and the standard steps to follow in order to implement employee central successfully for the organizations. So the agenda as discussed, we will understand SAP Success Factors employee central architecture to know what are the different components are part of employee central. And the second one, we will understand SAP success factor standard implementation steps. This is very important. These standard implementation steps are the common for all the projects spread across all the industries. These are the standard steps to implement HR application of SAP success factor employee center. We will see both these points in very detail in the coming slides. Now, don't get confused with the diagram. This is just to understand employee central. To understand this picture, we should come back again after finishing all the content of employee central. Then you can understand this architecture completely. But now I will give an attempt to explain this architecture in simple way. Okay, when we look at employee central architecture at high level, we have three kinds of users who will access and control the employee data in the application. Those users are here. One is HR, the second one is employee, and the third one is manager. These are the these are three users who will access and control employee data. These users access to data have been controlled with role-based permissions based on their scope of work, roles, and responsibilities. These users help to store the HR and foundational data, HR and foundational data in the system. Okay, let's understand what is role-based permissions. If you look at the if you go through the previous videos of business landscape, we understand the HR function structure in the organization. So HR function has many process A, process B, process C, process D. And this HR function distributes in different level. Let's say this HR function belongs to central team or the global team. And each process spread across at regional level. And each process exists at the country or local level. Right. So when we look at all these three HR users at central level, regional level, country level, their scope of work, their access to the employee data varies. Central team may have access to all the employees within the organization. And whereas regional, for example, let's say the multinational company present headquarters at Italy, Milan. Now their business spread across APAC or some of the regions, APAC, EMEA, and North America. So these regional HR users, for example, if you consider APAC regional HR user, should able to see only APAC region employee data. You should not able to see the all the other regions. And coming to the country level, in APAC, let's consider Singapore is one country. The Singapore HR user should able to see or should able to update only Singapore employee information within the application. This data control or access will be controlled with the role-based permissions within the SAP Success Factors Employee Central. This is what means role-based permissions. Right. And coming to the self-service. So Employee Central has the facility that employee can update some of their information within the application. It relates to the employee personal information like date of birth, communication, and educational information, and so on. Whereas manager has some self-service tools, so the manager can approve employee leaves and other things. So this is called self-service tools within the Employee Central. And coming to the workflows, event regions, and business rules. So the entire activities and task has been automated with the help of workflows, event regions, and business rules. So SAP SuccessFactor mostly automated all the HR tasks present in different HR process by workflows, event regions, and business rules. And lastly, if you come to the data model, data models are the ones which helps to configure different objects in the back end to access them in the front end, in the user interface of the applications. So let's not get confused with this. We will understand about data models and different kinds of data storages like HR data, foundational objects in very details in the future videos. And now we will understand all these workflows, event regions, and business rules, and what is self-service tools, and what is HR data and foundational objects in the next slide. Okay, now if you look at self-service, so this is one of the key features of Employee Central, is the ease with which you can maintain data. The solutions offers both employee and manager self-service. And coming to the workflows, event regions, and business rules. These are very crucial part in carrying out transactions in the Employee Central. The workflow defines the approval process. For example, if the employee apply the leave, so it has to go to the particular the employee manager. So these are defined in the workflows, and workflow defines the approval process. The event reasons are used to set the employee status for employment change. For example, if the employee has got the promotion, so in order to change the employment information of the employee, we should give the reason. So we should give the reason why is his employee information and employee status is being changed. That we call it as event reason. And coming to the business rules, it add application logic to the transactions. For example, so business rules define the application logic to the transactions. For example, leave approval. It should go to the particular manager. There is a business rule. When somebody apply leave, it has to go to his manager for the approval. So that logic, the application logic, builds within the business rules. And as we discussed, role-based permissions determine the data accessibility to the users. So three kinds of users: HR, employee, and managers. And coming to the HR data is an important aspect of Employee Central. This data includes employee personal data, like date of birth, national ID, and employment data, like job title and compensation. And coming to the foundational objects. So one of the foundational objects of Employee Central is called foundation objects. Foundation objects allows the company to define and store its organization, job, structures, payment information, and event regions, workflow, dynamic groups. Some of the objects are managed through metadata framework as metadata framework objects. We will see them in detail in the next coming videos. While those that are XML based are managed through corporate data model. So basically, there are two kinds of foundational objects. One is the objects which are created in XML model, and the second one is the objects which can be accessed through metadata framework. These are called metadata framework objects, and the objects which are created in XML based model, we call it as XML based objects. We will see them in detail in the next coming videos. Now, the important thing we should keep in mind while we implement Employee Central. So in SAP SuccessFactor Employee Central implementation, we have 14 standard sequence below steps are involved. So we should follow them. Being a consultant or when you try to implement employee central in your organization, you should follow all these 14 steps to execute employee central successfully. The first one is provisioning system account. So this is the first one. Provisioning system is nothing but SAP success factors backend system. We will understand each and every point in the coming slides. But now you should keep in mind provisioning system account is nothing but the configuration which happens in the backend of SAP success factors. We will see which are the options to be enabled at the backend so that we can work on the SAP success factor employee central front end. And the second one is super administrator account creations. This is very important in order to implement the employee central. So super administrator accounts will communicate between the consultants and the business so that they can configure the employee central as per the organization needs. And coming to the load or configure corporate data models. So we have seen different data models, right? One is corporate data model, country specific corporate data model, succession data model, and country specific succession data model. We will understand them each and every one, but the order of loading or configuring the data models, the first should be corporate data model. And the second one is load succession data model. Third one, country specific corporate data model. And the fourth one, country specific succession data models. So these four data models, we should configure or load in the back end in this order, in the provisioning system, let's say. So the seventh step is about creating or configuring foundational objects. We will understand what is foundational objects and different kinds of foundational objects. So generic objects is one and foundational objects is one. So we will understand what is generic objects and what is foundational objects in the next coming videos. And the eighth step we should follow is propagation rules data model. So we will understand this one. And coming to the ninth step, load configure the event region derivation rules. So these are all XML based data models. We will see them. Propagation rules are nothing but when you do when you make one change for the legal entity, the related objects which are created, all the objects should get updated according with the change. So that is called propagation. If I change the company name or location, the respective objects, the foundational objects or other related information also should get updated based on that. So that is called propagation rules. We will see very detailed about these propagation rules. And 10th one is about workflows and business derivation rules. 11th one is role-based permissions setup. And 12th one is about importing employee data. And third one is HRA synchronization jobs. And the 14th one, set up leave of absence. These are the 14 standard sequence steps we should follow in order to execute, in order to implement SAP SuccessFactors Employee Central effectively in the organization. In the next sessions, we will see each step of SAP SuccessFactors Employee Central implementation steps in detailed manner. With this, I'm going to stop this video. I thank you for your support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. And don't forget to give your feedback in the comments. Thank you. Thank you all.